Alô.
Okay. So, well, I got the special chair for me. Yeah, Nelson just told me that of the panelists. So Luis already presented. Daniel is a new incomer to the party from Algar Telecom, also an operator perspective. Mateus, Alessandro, and Gustavo. So, well, this is, like I said, an open dialogue opportunity. I can have plenty of questions, and many of the presentations raised more. And please feel free also to contribute with any question. Well, let me take an open round approach. And from what you have seen so far in this workshop, name something that has raised your attention, something new that you will take home from today, and then we warm up with this round that each of you should comment. Just 30 seconds, okay?
One point that grabbed my attention was in terms of the concept to have those different levels of closed loop as was presented in the last demo. I think it's quite interesting. It's quite aligned in what we think at Nokia. And I believe that is probably one of the most efficient way to manage the lies.
Okay.
Hello all, Daniel from Algar. Question. Everybody knows Algar here? Raise hands, please. Yeah.
We are a technical audience.
Yeah, a lot of, more than I expected. Well, from the operator point of view, the most important thing, in my opinion, is your first speak. You said something about sharing economy. So the business models of the operators are changing now. So we have to rely on more cost-effective solutions. So all I've seen here it comes very handy for us, because from now on we have to optimize resource, work together, and optimize costs, because, as I said, business models are changing. We cannot be pipes anymore. We have to be more aligned to the digital world. So I think everything you showed here is, I was very pleased to see that we're going this way.
So the concept of federation resonates in the sense that Algar and Telefonica or Vivo will federate in some regions to win-win?
Yes, of course.
Good. So we are not so far then as we have from that.
For me, it's raising some concerns about standardization. I see an ecosystem. It brings a lot of nice features. It's evolving. But for the market to adopt it, there is a dispersion nowadays on the theme of orchestration. I ask you, how do you see who will win the battle of the standardization? Who will have the solution that will drive this ecosystem? Or you think that will be a dispersion and we'll try to converge to an API or a set of APIs to talk with each other's solutions, okay?
So, well, from a perspective, one aspect that maybe we haven't touched here is basically how to make all of this operational. So we have seen today a lot of technologies coming in the wireless part, in the transport part, in the cloud part, and so. And we as operator at the end, we have behind of us some regulation, some need of guaranteeing the service for the end customer and so. So how can make all these bunch of technologies that are emerging, operational, mixing all together and so is the very challenge that we have behind. A part of making this economically sustainable for sure is how to keep the level of service for the end user, for the vertical customers and so, with all these new technologies mixed all together.
Well, maybe one thing that draws my attention here is this importance of AI for network management. And now maybe the gap is not only to bring more solutions, such as this nice one that we saw here just presented, but also this explainable AI to see what's going to happen with the network if you automate it. We want to be more predictable in this, not predictable, but want to be more in control of the change in the network in the future.
I think if slices are here to stay, like the statement of NECOS, AI, machine learning, has come to stay and to help in the many operations and towards optimization of resources. Does someone want to jump into the standardization question? Or
I'd like to make a question here because I see a lot of partners here from Europe. And I came close to a discussion. I had to research the thing. And there is a challenging area that's not engineering. It's network slicing versus net neutrality. Europe has the problem. Brazil has the problem. We already have some draft bills to address that because we try to provide internet without differentiation to everybody. But now operators are trying to have more revenue for specialized services. Did you touch this area during the research, the project?
Probably collaterally when considering the SLAs and so. The net neutrality specifically not, and this is a very dangerous area. When you go in these kind of projects and talk to, in my case, with the European Commission and so, it's better not to touch these things. But
it's out of scope.
Out
right?
of scope.
Okay.
But this is key. So we are talking about specialized slices for guaranteeing services, and so this cannot be done with a net neutrality approach for sure. We need to put mechanisms in the network for prioritizing one traffic regarding the other, or providing isolation, and this collides with the idea of net neutrality. So it's probably some issue that we need to face. Probably the way of facing that is to get the approach of managed services, so selling this slicing idea as the managed service that an operator can provide, with providing value, and hopefully the regulation could be, we expect that it should be open to consider that as a valuable mechanism. So enabling offerings, market offerings for that, and then the customers, that could be an OTT or whatever, could decide to go through this offering or not. But if they go through a managed service, we cannot guarantee the SLAs.
Any other thoughts on these questions from the, okay? Yes, yeah.
Hope it's not too difficult to respond. So we had this 4Agri talks yesterday for the agriculture here in Brazil, and one of the talks that was being discussed there is that we have issues, for example, with connectivity, and we saw connectivity issues for every single slides from everyone to deploy the services for agriculture, for agri-techs, and for the solutions. What I saw here in the beginning was the concept of the federation for the slides, and I just saw an opportunity there to say, okay, why don't we have like federated service, not only for connectivity, but also for computing for reaching these distance points in Brazil. But for that, we would need some open regulation, not only for providers to provide that capacity of networking and TPU, but also other companies like San Martinho. Yes, San Martinho yesterday, they have their own, because they're a very big company, they invested in having that, but they could provide that to other companies. And that would be an open model for that, for reaching farther places in Brazil for connectivity and for computing. So what do you think about that?
Well, is it on? Yeah. I totally agree. As I said, we have to rethink business models for operators in Brazil. And as my colleague said, we still have a regulation problem. We still have to work on it. We still have to improve regulations here in Brazil. But I think these days we have to rethink all the business model, including, as you said, to have a more, let's say, flexible and more effective, optimized way to do things. I believe so. Algar Telecom has a national backbone. We are a regional operator in the B2C market, but into B2B market, we are a national operator. We have a presence all over Brazil. We have backbones, we have servers, we have data centers all over Brazil. But we have an international cable also. We go to United States. But as I see, we have to be more effective. We have to have more partnership between operators or wholesaler, something like this. And we have to have the techniques to do so in a very flexible way. And I'm very happy with what I saw here today. It's a huge step forward in order to do so.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you envision some like stock market in the future, something like that, that you can put your resource to sell? Everyone can put the resource to sell.
Of course,
to buy.
of course. That
Will
will be
very flexible way.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, of course. We see it like this. It's a new business model.
I have a little question towards the panel. Before making it, I'll just remind you that around 30 years ago, two protocols were in parallel developed. One was IPv5, and the other one IPv6, which was supposed at that stage to be an extension of the IPv5. As the end, only one remained, IPv6. After some reasons and after some implementation and so on. Therefore, currently, there are no implementation of IPv5 anywhere in the world. The question to the panel is, what will happen, the fact that now we have 5G emerging, is supposed to be delivered soon, in particular in the wireless access part, and gradually in the rest of the infrastructure. And the fact that we have 6G appearing very well and could mature very quickly, soon standardized in particular in the wireless part, and it could be seen to overlapping in terms of deployment. Although in the main part of infrastructure is the same. And maybe there is even more what is called the vision of Network 2030, which is 10 years from now, and it's even more programmatic type of environment. The question to the panel, what do you think? Is it 5G dead, and when? And everybody moves to 6G or beyond? Or what's your view about it?
Yeah.
We're having some problem to hear from here, okay?
I will say it again. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now without?
Yeah. I think it's better.
I just have a question. Some years ago, 30 years ago, IPv5 was moved forward and never implemented, and the only thing left was IPv6. Although it's not fully commercially implemented. But the question is, given the fact that 5G is defined and standardized in many ways, in particular in wireless access part, but also in the rest of the infrastructure, it's happening and it's worldwide. Deployment is expected. Many big pilots, and I heard about massive implementation in China. But 6G is here. In particular, the specification for wireless and prototype. And will come. And maybe future networks, network 2030 is here in terms of specification and realization. The question to the panel, what is your view about 5G? Is it dead already before it was born? Or it's a continuous move into a direction? And what is that direction?
Some people believe on a maldição, a curse for the even generations, the odd generations, 3G, 5G. They think that the only ones that succeed is the 4G, the 2G, and the 6G. I don't believe that. I think 5G is already here. We are seeing some countries with a lot of deployments, a lot of rollouts. The most mature market I've seen so far, it's the South Korean market that's already using the 5G network, and they have they reached to points of 1 million of subscribers for 5G. Some new use cases like AR, VR that we don't have in 4G are already consuming 20% of the network. So 5G is here to stay. Of course, it will be different from country to country. The money to invest on the network, it will be hard. Even China is having some problems right now to cover the entire country. We've seen something like that. The money to invest will be huge. But I think the sector needs this openness for new business models. There's an operator here by my side. They reached a point where the revenues from the business to consumer stagnated. And they are trying to reach the business to business. It's where the new revenues justify the investment in 5G. Internet of Things, it's a thing that's coming fast to us, and 5G will be a trigger for that, to address this market. But we have people from operators here that will be much more with the real cases, the real demand for them, that can answer that better.
Well, the problem with 5G is business models. We still don't have them. The problem is, I was in November in London in a 5G Global Congress, and I met with the guys from British Telecom. They were already doing the network. It's not full network, but more for the first deployments. And after a very good presentation from the CTO, I just asked the marketing guys from by side, not in the presentation.
So GSM in some networks. So thinking on 6G is yet so far. Talking specifically about 5G, I think that it will stay for sure, because 5G is introducing a lot of transformations in the packet core, in the infrastructure. For instance, Gustavo presented this idea of 5 boxes, and so the NFB, the SDN. So we need yet to learn a lot about how to mix all together. So it's quite soon to think in evolving that. So we first need to understand how make it work all together before thinking on something else. And also it's yet not clear what will be the use cases that could come, so this is for granted. But from the operational point of view, 5G is mixing a lot of things, so we need first to learn how to operate that, how to make it running, and later on thinking on further evolutions.
Just one point. Are you familiar with the book, The Innovator's Dilemma, from Chris Anderson? Pursue a vision. You don't yet have a clear view what will happen with that, but you have a clear view if you don't follow and someone else starts to gaining the market there. So 5G is much about that. It's seeing that there is a path. You don't see clear where it goes, but if you don't follow, you might lose your course. That's my vision.
Just to contribute to my 2 cents here. No, I believe that 5G still have a long path ahead, because the most of the use case we have today is more related with fixed wireless access. So the operators have decided to move with non-standalone deployments. That is much more about broadband access. And the full capability about 5G come with standalone options now that was finalized the end of March and are coming to the market end of this year. The only customer in the world that currently signed that they are deploying standalone is T-Mobile in the United States. So I think with standalone, more and more application will come. The business case will come, because when you see that Google Stadia was sold out during the pre-sales, we can see how we can explore this market, how we can leverage the network and make new revenue streams. This is my feeling about it.
Just a last remark. We're on time, right? A last remark is a good example. When we released 3G